Hi and welcome to my channel. My name is Fabiana, and in today's tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to make these gloves. Well, these gloves have something special about them, which is this little thing here that you can close for your fingers, just like this, and then open and put it here. But they also have another super special feature that I designed based on some inspiration that I found online, is that inside of it you are able to put these heat pads through. You can turn them on just by plugging them on your USB, and that way heat your hands in colder days. So there's a little pocket here. It's actually easier if I put it in this way. There's a little pocket here that I designed especially for that. So you slide this pad through, and then you put it right in the middle of it. Put right in the middle here. As you can see it through here. And this is gonna hit your hands when you plug this here and then into the USB port. So this is very useful for winter days when it's cold and you want to warm your hands while you work on the computer. And as well, you can go outside and plug this in the car or something like that. If you surf like me, I surf, so when I surf in winter days, this is great. I can put on my car plug and just warm my hands this way. So let's get started with this project, guys. You're gonna need, I put these labels here that I like. I purchased them online. I'm also gonna leave the link for you for these thermal pads here because they have to have this smaller size to fit. And we're gonna need a little bit of elastic only if you wanna just use the bottom here. I'm using another bottom. Actually, I'm changing to this one. It's one that says handmade. It's really cute. And I'm going to be using chenille, or you can use a velvet yarn if you want for this part here of the beginning. Or if you want to make just two solid different colors, you can do that too. It's only a little bit of yarn. I think probably 50 grams on both is enough. You're gonna need your Sentro 48 if you're making an adult size. For a kid size, you can probably use the Sentro 40, and you can use the Addi King as well for this tutorial. And then you can use the Sentro 22 I'm going to be using for this little finger cap here. But you can use the Addi Express as well if that's what you have. So let's get started. So to make these gloves, we're going to start making a tube on our big machine. And I'm going to cast on all stitches to work on the tube mold of my machine with some waste yarn on the beginning. After I cast on, I like to make 3 rows with this yarn. And then once you made the 3 rows, remove the yarn. And if you are using chenille yarn, just grab your chenille yarn or velvet yarn if that's what you have. And then leave a little bit of a tail to seam later with it. And to bind off the stitches as well. And then with this yarn here, I'm going to be making 8 rows. And then cut the yarn once you made that 8 rows and swap for the other color. Make a knot on the second row. Pull it down here. And then with this yarn, I'm going to be making a total of 32 rows. So 24 extra rows in this yarn here. And then after you finished your 32 rows, cut a little longer tail just so you can seam it. And then remove this. Make a full row without the yarn. Leave that stitch for last, and then grab a tapestry needle with some contrasting color yarn. And then remove all the stitches of your circular knitting machine this way. And then this is what it looks like when you remove from the machine. Now you can make this longer if you want a longer mitten to the top here, okay? Now let's make the other part of it on the other machine. And then to make this little part here, I'm going to start with this yarn here so we can cinch on the top, and then finish with the other color. I'll be making for this one 16 rows plus 4, which is a total of 20 rows in this, for this part. So just cast on with the yarn you chose to use and make 16 rows. And then I'll make 16 rows plus 4 rows with the other color yarn if you chose to use another color. And then after you made both sides, all you're gonna do with this side here, you're gonna cinch it. Pull it very tight and then make a few knots to finish this side here. And then to bind off the stitches on the other side, we are going to use a 4 or 5 millimeters hook. And then to bind off the other side here, make sure you don't make it too tight. It has to be a little open so you can fit your fingers through. So to do that, I used a 4.5 millimeters hook. You can either use a 5 if you prefer. And then to do that, always make sure the stitches are a little loose. Yarn over, pull through. And then this stitch here, make sure it's a little elongated and it's a little wider, because then it's not gonna be tied. And then just repeat this around and remove the waste yarn at the end, making a slip knot in that first stitch when you finish. I'll finish to do that. As you can see, it's not tied on mine. So I'll finish to do that, and then I'm gonna show you how to finish this. And then finish it off with a slip stitch in that first stitch. Okay, so this is the one side. As you can see, it's not tied on my hands. That's how it should be. So let's grab the other piece. So to finish this part here, what I normally do, I want this tail here to be right at the end. So I match the stitches this way to see where I have to start. And what I'm going to do on this side here is just simply pull one stitch through the other one on opposite sides always. So pull through, go to the opposite side, pull through, then go to the other side, pull through. And that's why it's important that our tail is at the other end, so when we finish on the last stitch, the tail is here and we can bind off with this tail here. So repeat this all the way to the other side, and then I'll come back with you. Now, after finishing this side here, leave this tail so you can seam it after, and make sure that these two here, they are facing each other, like the hole is here and this hole is also on the top, so it's gonna be like this. So on the beginning here I'm going to have the hole for the finger, and then here I'm going to have this opening. And this opening here I made with around 7 stitches on each side, which is 14, a total of 14 stitches. So what you do is you can either bind off 7 stitches this way, and that's what I'm going to do actually. Place a marker, count 7 stitches, so I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. I have 14 stitches, 7 on each side, and now I'm going to bind off 7 this way, and that's gonna create this space, or this opening here, and then I'm going to start binding off. You don't need to worry this time to make longer loops, because we have enough stitches on this side here. So bind them all off. So 2, because I made 2 together there, 3, and then from here, from this last stitch on both sides, make sure you just fold like we did before to match the stitches all the way here, so we can bind off this same way here. And then from here, it's easier this time if you grab on the opposite side, just to make it easier to bind them off. And then go to the opposite end. Just be aware not to grab this part of the yarn here, only because it's gonna be hard to remove after. So when you pull in the stitches, try not to grab that yarn together, otherwise it's gonna be hard to remove the waste yarn after. And then once you finish closing all these stitches, all you have to do is just pull this tail through. I'm gonna pull it underneath this waste yarn, just to make it easier to remove it after. So this is the tail. After we bind off these stitches, we had this tail. And then now what I'm going to do is pull it through this one, and then I'm going to start making these stitches here, binding them off as well. And then just bind off these remaining stitches, and this will create that opening space to put the heat pad through. Make sure also in the beginning here you leave a little longer tail, because mine was just enough. Now before I finish this here, now I want to remove this waste yarn, just to make sure I got it all right. Let me see where I should start this here. Just see which one's running through all of them, and then pull it. So I'm going to remove this waste yarn, and then I'll come back with you just to finish it off and seam it all together. And then with this yarn here that we had from the other side, what I'm going to do is just mattress stitch from the beginning of this side to the other side for around, let me see if I got the right one, it's this stitch here, for around 10 stitches. And I go through 2 rows each time, just following always that same stitch where I started. So 2, 4, and then finish with only one on each side, like this. Put the yarn tight to close it off, and then make a knot and hide the tail. And then now make another knot on the back here. Leave a little space around here. And then seam the remaining with the same stitch. And here what I did was a little piece of elastic. I folded in half and I threaded. And then here I'm going to try and find a little, actually should have left this before, to put the elastic through. Let's see if I can put it through now. Maybe this would be better if you could leave a little hole there to pull the elastic through. Ah, there you go. So pull the elastic through and then seam it on the other side with the yarn. And you're gonna use this thread to seam the bottom as well. Make sure you go through it a few times because you have to pull this through all the time, so it needs to be really, really well seamed. Make a few knots as well, so this one doesn't come undone. Then now I'm going to seam the bottom here with the same thread in that same place here. Here I used another bottom, but that's okay. I don't have that other one anymore. And then now you can just slide this thermal pad through the hole. Just place where you prefer it to be. It's like here, so it warms your hands on the top. And I'll come back with you with both ready to show you how it looks like. And there you go, guys. This is both of our gloves. All you have to do now is to plug this in on your USB, or it can even be on your computer if you have the USB entrance. Plug in there. And this is great to work on the computer as well. And it really warms up. It warms up really quite fast, actually. This is how it looks like. You can still work on your computer. It doesn't go on the way as well. And I think this is really awesome, guys. I love this idea. It works great for winter. Let me know in the comments how did you like this and if you're gonna try to make one for yourself. And this is awesome as well because when it hits here, it hits this part here, and when you flip it over, it's warm for your fingers as well. And it stays closed for when you go outside. You can plug this in on your car, USB plug as well. So guys, let me know in the comments if you like this tutorial. Maybe leave me a super thanks. There is a pattern in the description below for you guys if you want to purchase the pattern and help my small business as well. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. Leave me your like and subscribe to my channel if you like this tutorial. I absolutely love my gloves, guys. Thank you all for watching, and I see you in the very next tutorial. Bye!